It has only been a few weeks since Terence Crawford stunned the boxing world with a commanding victory over Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds. The result shook up the sport from top to bottom and sent fans and analysts into a frenzy about what comes next. When a fighter of Crawford's stature climbs two-weight divisions, looks composed and efficient, and beats the most marketable star in the game, the immediate question is obvious. Does he stay at super middleweight, move down in weight, or consider walking away on top? The possibilities are wide open, and so are the emotions swirling around them. Crawford looked at home with the added weight. Many expected Canelo to exploit the size gap and lean on his strength, but Crawford handled the stage, the pressure, and the physicality with the same calm he has shown from lightweight to welterweight. The speed carried up with him, the timing was intact, and his defense remained slippery. That visual alone has people wondering if the next step is to settle in at 168 pounds and build a new chapter on top of the one he just authored. Crawford himself, however, isn't rushing to declare anything. He made that clear in the aftermath when he said, "To be honest, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I said, everything is up in the air right now. I'm just enjoying my family, enjoying being able to say, look what I accomplished. I'm just chilling right now. I haven't even got the time to sit down with my team and talk with them. I talk with my family. I know what my family want. But it's a team effort. That's as direct and grounded as it gets. The thrill of a signature win is still fresh. The demands of a long career still live in the body. And the decision is bigger than one night." That mention of family resonates. After a legacy-sealing achievement and a clean bill of health, a natural instinct, especially for those closest to him, might be to step away on a high. Few fighters are to leave undefeated at a weight class, move up, shock the world, and then walk off to applause. It is a rare, enviable position. Yet, boxing doesn't operate purely on rational timing. The adrenaline of competition, the lure of one more challenge, and the pull of history are powerful forces. Crawford has always been a competitor who cares deeply about legacy. That appetite doesn't disappear because the belt rack is full. If anything, it grows. So what are the real options in front of him? The best way to understand the road ahead is to look at the weight classes he can realistically choose from, assess the quality of opponent available, consider the business behind each choice, and weigh what each path does for his long-term legacy. Staying at 168 pounds is the most straightforward continuation of the story people are talking about today. He proved he could carry the weight on the biggest stage against a proven champion. He maintained his hand speed, looked strong in the clinch, and kept his reflexes sharp. Remaining at super middleweight keeps the biggest names within reach and maintains the attention of mainstream fans who just tuned in to see him face Canelo Alvarez. It also keeps the pay-per-view spotlight, where he's now comfortable. The super middleweight division at 168 is still one of boxing's most visible platforms and offers a mix of power punchers, slick boxers, and aggressive contenders that would test any version of Crawford. There are multiple compelling names at super middleweight. A rematch with Canelo Alvarez would be a box office giant and the kind of event that drives headlines beyond the sports pages. The intrigue is obvious. Canelo is historically resilient and proud. He would make adjustments, and that kind of rivalry tends to draw record crowds and big PPV numbers. A second fight would give Crawford a chance to prove it wasn't a one-off and to settle every lingering question about size, power, and durability at 168 pounds. There's also the question of other standing contenders at super middleweight, a matchup with David Benavidez. Long considered a serious threat in the division, would be a stylistic clash between Benavidez's relentless pressure and Crawford's measured counterpunching. Jamie Munguia brings volume, a sturdy chin, and a fan-friendly style. Caleb Plant is a tactician who can box and move. Edgar Berlanga has buzz and power that attracts casual fans. David Morrell Jr., whether at 168 or moving up, is a highly skilled operator with an amateur pedigree and strong momentum. Every one of those names is a real fight and a real test, each with a different risk profile and storyline. From a sporting and promotional standpoint, the super middleweight schedule could keep Crawford's calendar full and his profile soaring. There are physical considerations to staying at 168 pounds. Carrying extra muscle changes training cycles and recovery. The camp would need to fine-tune his conditioning to preserve his late-round explosiveness against bigger opponents. The good news is that he just showed he can do it. The caution is that doing it once and doing it repeatedly are different tasks. Every camp at 168 will require meticulous planning around sparring partners, nutrition, strength work, and rest. Crawford's team has been among the best in the business at finding rhythm and peaking at the right time. That experience is an asset if he stays. Dropping to 160 pounds is another path that would open fresh opportunities. Middleweight has a proud history and a global following. It also offers matchups that would lean more towards skill and speed rather than raw size. At 160, Crawford would be closer to his natural walking around weight before the move to 168. The cut would be manageable with a smart camp, and he could potentially carry more of his snap and foot quickness over 12 rounds. Possible fights at middleweight are intriguing. Jermall Charlo, if fully active and focused, remains a big name with size, tools, and a champion's mindset. Janibek Alimkhanuly is a technical southpaw who has unified titles and presents problems that only a complete fighter solves. Chris Eubank Jr. brings familiarity to American and UK audiences and would generate strong international interest. Middleweight is not the glamour division it once was at this exact moment, but it has enough depth to offer live opponents and a belt route that could push Crawford toward becoming a multi-division champion with elite wins all the way from lightweight to super middleweight. The marketing line, Crawford Conquers Middleweight, is powerful for his legacy and for pay-per-view. The main question at 160 is the trade-off between star power and sporting challenge. The names are strong, but the commercial pull may not match a Canelo rematch or a high-voltage clash at 168. Still, if legacy is the compass, middleweight glory matters. The list of greats at 160 is long, and adding a title that will put Crawford in rarefied air alongside the few who have won major belts across 4 divisions while beating the best available. Another option is 154 pounds, a division that combines speed with meaningful punch resistance and currently boasts a deep pool of talent. Super welterweight offers a sweet spot where Crawford's timing, accuracy, and ring IQ might be at their absolute best. He would likely be one of the sharper, more complete operators in the division right away. Super welterweight presents matchups that would get fans buzzing. Jermall Charlo, long associated with undisputed status at 154, still represents a class of a division when he is dialed in. Sebastian Fundora, with his towering frame and unusual dimensions at 154, creates an awkward riddle for any elite opponent. Tim Sayo's aggressive style and strong chin make him a fan-friendly dance partner in a Crawford Sayo fight would deliver action as well as global attention. Brian Mendoza and other rugged contenders add depth. Returning to 154 would also position Crawford for undisputed ambitions if the belts are within reach, which is exactly the kind of challenge he has embraced at every turn. There are practical aspects to consider at 154. The cut from 168 back down to super welterweight needs to be precise. Doing it correctly can enhance speed and keep his reflexes razor sharp. Doing it poorly can sap endurance. Crawford's professionalism and discipline suggest he would manage it well. The question becomes less about physiology and more about the size of the event compared to 168. If he values immediate mega fights, super middleweight may offer bigger nights. If he values the chance to conquer yet another division with a distinct set of stylistic tests, 154 has appeal. One more option exists, though it is the least likely from a sporting standpoint: a return to 147 pounds. Crawford has already conquered welterweight and did so conclusively. He could, in theory, go back for a lucrative defense or a legacy bout. Names like Jaron Boots, Ennis loom as serious challenges at welterweight. Ennis is dynamic, unbeaten, and viewed by many as the next great American welterweight. A Crawford-Ennis fight would be a purist dream and a generational handoff type of event. The downside is the strain of cutting that far after building a body for 168. It would require a carefully staged transition and the right timeline. Considering what is already achieved at welterweight, 147 feels like the least necessary detour unless the business case is undeniable. Every one of these pathways intersects with the realities of boxing business. Networks, streaming platforms, and promoters each have plans, budgets, and calendars. pay-per-view partners will want to say. Major venues in Las Vegas, New York, Dallas, and Los Angeles are always on a hunt for events that can fill seats and drive secondary revenue. International sites have entered the conversation more frequently in recent years, adding another layer to negotiations. Crawford's team will weigh not just who he fights, but where and under what terms. The right site fee can swing a decision. The right co-main can turn a strong card into a must-see PPV. The right date can avoid NFL conflicts and boost attention. There's also the question of timing. After a career-defining win, the temptation is to ride the momentum with a quick return. But the smarter move is often measured. Let the body heal. Let the story build. Let negotiations mature. The sweet spot might be late spring or early summer, giving enough time for a full camp tailored to whichever weight class they choose. It also allows the market to breathe and for fans to miss the action a little. When the next event is announced, it should feel like a moment, not just another entry on a crowded schedule. The personal dimension cannot be overstated. Crawford's comment about his family wanting something specific is telling. The people who live the journey with him day after day feel the strain of camps, the weight of pressure, and the risks of combat sports. Stepping away on a high note is appealing for good reason. Yet Crawford has never been a fighter who takes comfort in the minimum. His career has been defined by taking the hard road, demanding big challenges, and proving himself across multiple divisions. That drive has not disappeared. If anything, beating Canelo Alvarez at 168 likely sharpened it. From a legacy perspective, he is already operating in a different sphere. He has done what few have: dominate at lower weights, climb, and then defeat a bigger superstar. If he stays at 168 and puts together a small run against the top contenders, he adds a new layer to his resume that historians will respect. If he drops to 160 or 154 and collects major titles there, he could cement himself as one of the most versatile champions of his era. And if he retires today, he leaves with a statement few will ever match, stepping up multiple divisions and taking out the most decorated commercial star of the modern era. Every route carries risk. Staying at 168 means routinely facing larger men. Dropping to 160 or 154 demands perfect weight management. Returning to 147 asks the body to rewind significant changes. There is no path that avoids danger, but there's also no path that lacks opportunity. For a fighter like Crawford, who has always thrived on clarity of purpose, the decision will likely come down to the blend of competitive fire, family input, and business alignment. It is worth considering the stylistic implications in each division. At 168, Crawford will face punchers who want to close space and test his resistance. That can play into his counterpunching if he controls tempo early and limits exchanges on the ropes. At 160, the opposition skews technical, requiring patience and precision that suit him well. At 154, he could be the more complete fighter on most nights, with a chance to dominate behind fundamentals and opportunistic offense. He and his team have always been masters at tailoring game plans to opponents. They would map each potential fight just as meticulously as they did for Canelo.